Hand in hand.
And welcome back. And we're moving into our final segment for today as we get an update from Hand in Hand Ministries. We have with us the Executive Director for Hand in Hand Ministries Belize, of course, Abel Vargas. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having us on the show, or having me on the show, really.
Yes. Of course, we appreciate having you here, and we know it is the start of a very big year for Hand in Hand. You officially inaugurated your new building, and of course, the work continues to build more houses and change more lives. Abel, give us an update, just how things have been going for you guys.
Well, things have been going phenomenally well. You know, we've been exceedingly blessed, really. Everything that Hand in Hand does is God-centered, and you know, God leads and we follow. So we consider ourselves very blessed. It's been long now since we've been dreaming about having one home for all our programs, and finally it happened. I could always recall, I was here actually about 3 years ago when we had just started
when you
the
broke
whole,
ground.
and I remember sitting here and saying, you know, this thing is going to cost a lot of money, and in the back of my mind I was saying, this is not going to happen, but we'll try. This is not going to happen, because when we got there and we saw the bush and the messy swamp that was there, and I remember one of the guys who was cleaning the area for us, he could not clean the center of it, and I was upset at him because I wanted to see a vision of the peripheral of our land. And he said, boss, let me show you. And he starts walking, and suddenly he disappears.
That's how deep it was.
Right, and when he surfaces, he was full of mud and water, and you know, and that was a shocker for me, and I felt very bad for what had happened and with him, and I said, no, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. But you know,
did it.
We should never doubt the power of prayer, and we should never doubt that when you're doing the work of God, things happen.
How many years has Hand in Hand been in country so far? It's originally based in Kentucky, right?
Right. We were registered in Kentucky in 1999.
Okay.
So we're a little, about going on 20 years.
Yeah.
In Belize, we were established in 2002.
Yeah.
So here in Belize, we're going for 16 years.
Wow.
13 of those I've been with Hand in Hand.
And how many, I think the most prominent program that you have
Building for Change.
is the Building for Change. And you know, Abel, I have seen some of the work that you guys have done, and what's most important is that we see the finished product in the news, but if anybody would ever see what is originally in place before a Hand in Hand home, they would understand why your mission is helping the poorest of the poor.
Of course. Most of the things that we are exposed to are the very drastic things that we experience and we see, you know. Many a times we've had several social workers from the university who have come to help us, and they can't survive it. You know, they go home traumatized by what they see. And we've invited some executives from within the society here in Belize to accompany us one day, a half day. And one or two of them have actually ended in tears, you know, and cannot believe that this is what's happening in their own backyard, you know, just a couple of blocks from where they live, you know. But it's a reality. Yeah. It's a truth. And it's what we are here to do. Like I said, many a times it is hard, but it has to be done. It has to be. It's our Christian obligation, and we are duty bound by God's mercy, or by our obligation to show God's mercy here on earth.
How many homes? Sorry, just how many homes so far?
Well, right now we're working on our 343rd house. Oh, wow. We have a group from Louisville, Kentucky, and they're here right now. They're going to start today to build a house. Yeah.
As a reporter, I've been fortunate to have accompanied Hand in Hand Ministry on both ends in terms of identifying some of the families and persons in most need of a new home, and in terms of the handing over of the keys to a new home. So I've seen the issue from, well, I've seen the story, if I may, from both ends, in terms of identifying the need and the look of satisfaction and that gratitude when someone receives the keys to a new home. One of the things that strike me, Abel, is that when you look at our Belize city landscape, if I may, and the level of abject poverty and the hardships, that not only single parent households face, but you do have families where the mother and the father and the kids are in an environment that is not necessarily suitable to be able to raise your family. And you guys go in, I know you partner with BEL and the other utilities to be able to provide, if not the basic shelter or the basic needs for these individuals, to be able to sort of pick themselves up from that point and continue to build.
Right.
And I look at that as the idea of family being central to whatever you guys are doing on behalf of these individuals. Speak to us a bit about that.
Everything that Hand in Hand does, like I said, starts and finishes with those who are in most need. We don't want to say poor because we are poor. All of us are poor, impoverished in some way or the other. Even those of us who live affluent lives, we are probably emotionally impoverished. But the person who are in most need in terms of their basic need for decent human existence, you know, not necessarily comfortable, but decent. Because some of the situations that we encounter is really inhumane. I hate to use phrases like, you know, people live like animals or stuff like that, because it is really very drastic to use certain terms. But when you look at the inhumane ways that people live at times, it gives you a sense of needing to do something. You have to do something, you know, you're duty bound, you're obligated. There's absolutely no way you can sleep at night knowing that people have nowhere to rest. So, and what we've done in Hand in Hand, the only program that most people know is the Building for Change, because that's more visual. That's what people see.
But there's quite a bit more.
There's so much more that we do. We have 3 vibrant programs right now. And everything that we do, like I said, one of our core policies and our core values is the family preservation. And right now we have enshrined in the Building for Change program itself that wherever there's a child involved, the benefit, the comfort, and the service of that child takes precedence. So whenever we have a situation where the house is maybe the original owner dies or moves on, then you find out who stays with the house. Is it a brother, a sister, a sibling who is in need? Then we say, all right, where is the child? If the child needs shelter, then that child, whoever is taking care of that child, has access to the house. But the primary concern is the safety and comfort of the child. And so everything that has to do with the family too, we try to preserve the family.
And I always find this fascinating, and probably we don't discuss it enough. It's a supplementary program. So it's helping someone who was living in an unsuitable home have a more decent place to lay their head at night. But also you have built-in scholarship programs. You have the opportunity where they, in fact, the requirement that they must give back to others. So even when you feel you have so little, you have enough to give to another. And I think psychologically that's such a great experience, because when you feel like you don't have enough, the last thing you think of is giving.
It's more so a spiritual one as well.
And also, and also the training programs. So tell us, you know, I can only imagine the families that you've interacted with over the years. Tell us the most heartwarming one that you know, you really feel that you've made, that the organization and all your team at Hand in Hand really made an impact in changing the course of a family's life.
When you ask, you know, a lot of people ask that question, I'll tell you, I could tell you about 343 of them right now. And we're working on the 344th one. Because all of them, Marlene, all of them, you know, Isani, all the families that we've helped, I've been at least 332 of these house blessings, house deliveries, and each one has its own gift for me. Each one has its own show of God's mercy in its own way. And each house that we've blessed has its own issues that we have been able to overcome. All right. What we do at Hand in Hand, what my vision in Hand in Hand as the leader here at Hand in Hand is that we do not, it's not a mercy case. We don't feel sorry for people. We feel sorry for ourselves, actually, because in spite of how people are living, we may be living in more challenging times in our own minds. And that's a whole different topic. But we don't do things out of mercy. We don't do things because we're sorry for people. And we don't come to save nobody's life.
Yeah.
On the contrary, they probably save us. They save our souls because we are able to manifest God's grace. And there's no greater glory, and there's no greater accomplishment than knowing that you're being used for God's purpose on earth. And when you help those who are in most need, it is clearly like Teresa of Avila says, no, we become God's hands, we become God's foot, we become God's body. And there's no greater accomplishment than that in life, to know that you're being used as an instrument of God. And that's what Hand in Hand allows me to do. And that's the reason why I'm going to be there for the rest of my life. But going back to what you said, everyone that we assist, they partner with us, and we ensure that they are able then to become so self-sufficient that they can help others.
Yeah.
So everything that we do, and when we envision, we started off with building houses. Then we found out that the HIV-infected child needs help. They're dying out. We got into that. Then we found out that education is lacking. We had some of our children come to us and they don't know how to read and write. So we got into that. We realized that the people that we gave houses to, they don't know how to socially integrate. Because you'll take someone out of a very marginalized situation that they've lived their marginalized life their whole life. So they're not hygienically viable to be within the urban community. So someone gives them a space in their yard to build a house, and then they build a house and then they're not living hygienically because that's not what they know. So we realized that we need to provide training. And so we get into that as well. We realized that the children that we were helping with the scholarship, they were not making it at school. And when we visit the homes, we realized that the parents themselves didn't have an education. They can't afford school, so they can't afford tutoring. So we started a tutoring program. All right, and right now, because of where we are, where we've built our new center, we realize that a lot of the young men in that area need help. So we're envisioning now in the very near future to start what we call a Young Men Empowering Center, an empowering facility where we'll have a sort of basketball court that will attract them. And we'll have a building there where we'll have like a mentoring system. And we have at least 4 people already, a mason, a carpenter, a mechanic, and an electrician. And they have already volunteered that they will come in and teach these guys skills. So that's what we have envisioned. But everything we do, like I said, we come in and we partner with those who are in most need and bring them up to a situation where they can help others.
When you guys conceived of the idea of building for change, and you realized that you needed to reach out to the business community, or you needed to establish counterparts in terms of realizing these particular projects of yours, what was their initial reception? For instance, approaching BL and say, you know what, we're dealing with this first house, for instance, and we need to have it electrified. We go to BWS, we need to have it plumbed and what have you. What was the initial reaction from the business community?
Let me tell you, most business people and are very cautious. That's the best word. They're cautious. Why? Because they've been taken advantage of. And not only that, but the pond is fished out. You know, everybody comes to them for help. Everybody. So where do they find meaningful partnership? So what we do when we approach them, we say, come, see what we do. Come, join us for a day. Visit our center, hear about what we do, and see it for yourself. And we found that when people come and see and experience what you do, there's an immediate buy-in. BL, for instance, I'll tell you, when we just started with BL, it was a process, because BL is very structured. You know, just like BTL and Belize Bank and all, they are very structured, and they have their policy and they have their structure in place. When we had our contract, BL rewrote our contract, and we thought we had it, but anyhow, and you could see from all the different meetings that we had with them at the initial that there was a cautiousness the way they partnered. But once they started building with us and they started experiences our resolve, our intentions, the genuineness in us serving people, it was like they just blew up. You know, They came in to build a house, and suddenly now they're cleaning out the person's yard. Suddenly now they're going to pay for extra loads of dirt. Suddenly now they're going to provide free electricity. Suddenly they're going to upgrade a post that's near the person. And I'm like, really? I mean, you know, I had...
Because they understand the value.
Right. Yeah. You know, it was like I had to say, hey, tone it down, guys. All right, we have other people that need help too, you know, but it's just that when people, most of us, you see, all of us are made perfect when we were born and we were chosen. All of us were made good. For whatever reason, we grew up in a society that forces us to survive in it by means that we have to. And so we adapt and change. But all of us have a goodness inside of us. And all of us yearn for an opportunity to bring it out. That's what we do. And once people find an avenue to bring out the God in them, they go for it. And that's what we found.
Abel, it's so great to hear what you're talking about this morning. And I think at a time when sometimes we feel overwhelmed by societal issues, it's great to be able to still have that shining light that you can look at to see that there are positive things taking place all the time in this country, year round. And I think Hand in Hand is one of those examples. To close off, I'd just like to say, how can people help? How can they get involved? I mean, obviously not everybody has... I think the value of the homes are $10,000, but many organizations can raise the money together. So that's one option. But how can people help on an individual level?
What I'd like to ask most people to do, if they're able to, is to come and visit us. Come and see what we do. I can sit here for the entire day, explain to you all the things that we do. But if you come and see it, it's different. So we invite people to come and see what we do and join us, partner with us. There's always, it's like I always tell our staff, the amount of service we offer, there's absolutely no way someone will walk into our office and walk out as destitute as they walked in. Because there is some way we can help someone. There is some way we can help everyone. All right, there's something that we could do for everyone. And so I invite people to join us. I invite people to come and see what we do. They could call any of these numbers, 610-2602 or 615-4804, and call us and see where you can help. Visit our center. Right now we are very excited about our new building. It's not completed. It's good enough for us to be in there. Even now construction continues, and it's going to continue for another year or two because we are doing slowly. We only have 3 people working on our site, and these guys are like volunteers. And so because of that, you know, it's turtle pace, but we're getting there. We're getting
slow
there.
but sure.
Oh, of course. In our building, we have our Building for Change program, and now we have an area where people could come in and get interviewed individually and privately. We have a daycare, we have a preschool, and I'm very excited to find that now this year we had more people from the community that are using our preschool and daycare. We have a mentoring program. We have a young people's counseling section. We have a nurses station. We have an examination station for the nurses. We have a kitchen that's fully equipped for the children who come there and they have their meals. We have administrative area, and we have a large area where we do training for the people who have received houses from us, because when they receive house from us, they have to go through a rigorous 10-session training that teaches them everything like social integration, hygiene, small finance management, things like that will help them survive. And we have all that now in one building. So we're terribly excited about that, and we invite people to come and see the building. Come and
how do we explain where it is?
That's another issue, you know, because I personally, I'm a bit frustrated because I've been trying to reach the mayor for about almost a year now.
He's outgoing.
I've sent him so many emails. I've sent him about 3 letters. I've gone there personally, and I can't get to meet him and to explain our needs. There should be a road, a street that goes right in front of our building, and it's Lopez Street, but it's not completed, and it'll take so little to complete. And what that will do is that it will open our service to the entire community. That whole Martin de Porres West area, that whole Gungulung area that we call, that whole Lacroix Boulevard area, all that area will have access to our services. if they should only invest a couple $1,000s to build that street. And this is what I've been trying to tell the city council, the mayor himself, since last year before we moved there. You know, we have all these services for people in that area, but a lot of them can't access it because they have to go all the way around. And they don't have vehicles. They have to walk. And to walk with a child on those streets and bring them to our service is hard. You know, so if they would only build that street, it would open up services to so many people. But you know, it's one of the challenges that we have. And now that you say where we are, our address that we're using right now is mile 1.5 George Price Highway. But you have about 7 businesses in that area that use that very same address. Simply because there's really no infrastructure. All right.
So I suppose the best way to say it is, if you're going to the Inspiration Center, instead of turning left to the Inspiration Center, you'll turn right.
And that's what we tell everyone. Because every time we tell people 1.5 mile George Price Highway, they're go on the highway. And we're off the highway.
You're a bit tucked back.
So that's what we tell people. You know, you go as you go to the Inspiration Center, instead of turning left, like you say, Marlene, you turn right. And like I said, we invite everyone to come and see what we do.
Absolutely. You know, we appreciate you taking the time to come in and just provide this update and uplifting the conversation as well for today. And we definitely do encourage people to show their support to Hand in Hand Ministries,
please.
And visit their building and see how you can offer some help as well. Abel, thank you for coming in, and best of luck for 2018.
Thank you very much, and come and visit us, please.
We're going to go ahead and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up, so stay tuned.